bound by contract, claimed by fate. A werewolf romance story. Opening. Hello, my beautiful dreamers. This is Luna, and welcome back to Luna's Romance Audiobooks, where business arrangements become love affairs, and contracts can't contain the heart. Tonight, I have a story that will make you swoon, a tale of desperation and desire, of a contract that was supposed to be simple, and a billionaire alpha who's about to discover that some bonds can't be bought. Imagine needing money so desperately you'd agree to anything. Imagine signing a contract to be a powerful man's lover for 1 year. No emotions, no complications, just business. Now imagine discovering that the cold, ruthless billionaire you've agreed to serve is your fated mate, and that the contract binding you together is nothing compared to the bond fate has woven between your souls. So get comfortable, my dreamers. This is a story about contracts and chemistry, about what we agree to and what we can't control, about discovering that sometimes the most transactional arrangement can become the deepest love. This is Bound by Contract, Claimed by Fate. Prologue. The offer. The envelope was thick, expensive paper embossed with a logo I didn't recognize. I stared at it on my kitchen table, my hands shaking too badly to open it. Inside was either salvation or damnation. Maybe both. My phone rang, the same unknown number that had called 3 times today. I answered. Hello? Miss Hartley. The voice was female, crisp, professional. This is Amanda Cross, personal assistant to Zander Vaughn. Have you reviewed the contract we sent? Zander Vaughn, billionaire, alpha of the Obsidian Pack, CEO of Vaughn Industries, the largest corporate empire in the country, and apparently a man in need of a contract lover. I received it, I said carefully. I haven't opened it yet. Mr. Vaughn requires an answer by midnight tonight. If you're interested, the contract outlines the terms of your arrangement. If not, we'll move on to the next candidate. Next candidate, like I was applying for a job. I suppose I was. What exactly does he want? I asked, even though I already knew. The job posting had been clear enough, if you could call something so unusual a job. Seeking female companion for 1-year contract. Discretion essential. Compensation $500,000 plus expenses. Requirements unmated, attractive, willing to fulfill all duties as outlined in contract. $500,000. Enough to pay for my mother's medical bills, enough to save our house from foreclosure, enough to give my younger sister a chance at college, enough to sell my dignity for 12 months. The contract explains everything, Amanda said smoothly, but essentially you'd serve as Mr. Vaughn's companion at social events, travel with him when required, and be available to him as needed. You'd live in his penthouse, follow his schedule, meet his requirements. Be his mistress, you mean. Mr. Vaughn prefers the term contract lover. It's cleaner, less emotionally complicated. And if I sign, what happens after the year is up? You walk away with your payment, a generous severance package, and an ironclad non-disclosure agreement. Her tone suggested she'd had this conversation before. Mr. Vaughn is very clear that this is a business arrangement. No emotions, no complications. You provide a service, he provides compensation. Simple. Nothing about this was simple. But my mother's cancer treatment wasn't going to pay for itself, and my sister deserved better than dropping out of school to work minimum wage jobs. I'll review the contract, I said. Excellent. If you decide to proceed, a car will pick you up at 8 a.m. tomorrow for your interview with Mr. Vaughn. Dress professionally. He values punctuality. She hung up before I could respond. I opened the envelope with trembling fingers. The contract was extensive, pages and pages of legal language outlining exactly what I'd be agreeing to. Party A, Zander Vaughn, agrees to compensate Party B, Thea Hartley, in the amount of $500,000 for a period of 1 year, during which Party B will serve as Party A's exclusive companion. Duties include, but are not limited to, accompanying Party A to all social and business functions as required, residing in Party A's primary residence, maintaining appropriate appearance and conduct as befitting Party A's companion, providing companionship of an intimate nature as requested. Complete discretion regarding all aspects of this arrangement. Party B agrees to remain unmated for the duration of this contract, avoid romantic entanglements with other parties, submit to regular health screenings, sign all required non-disclosure agreements, vacate Party A's residence within 48 hours of contract termination. Party A agrees to provide housing, clothing, and all necessary expenses, respect Party B's boundaries as outlined in attached addendum, pay contracted amount in full upon successful completion of term, provide severance package equivalent to 3 months' salary. There was more, pages more, but the gist was clear. I'd belong to Zander Vaughn for 1 year. Body, time, presence, everything except my actual feelings. Those, apparently, were forbidden. I read the compensation amount again. $500,000. Life-changing money. I thought about my mother, pale and weak in her hospital bed. About my sister, crying over her college rejection letters because we couldn't afford the tuition. About the foreclosure notice on our house. The medical bills stacking up. The hopelessness that had been crushing me for months. This was wrong. Probably immoral. Definitely desperate. But it was also a chance. A way out. A solution to problems that had no other answers. I picked up a pen and signed my name on the dotted line. I didn't know that Zander Vaughn was more than just a billionaire alpha. I didn't know that the moment he saw me, his wolf would recognize mine. I didn't know that the contract I'd just signed wasn't binding me to a year of servitude. It was binding me to my fated mate. And nothing, not money, not contracts, not his determination to keep things uncomplicated, would change that. Chapter 1. The Interview. The Vaughn Industries building dominated the city skyline, all glass and steel, gleaming in the morning sun like a monument to wealth and power. I'd worn my best suit, which wasn't saying much. It was 3 years old and slightly too tight, but it was clean and professional, and it was all I had. The receptionist barely glanced at me. "Miss Hartley, take the executive elevator to the penthouse level. Mr. Vaughn is expecting you." The elevator ride seemed to take forever. I watched the floor numbers climb, my stomach churning with nerves. What was I doing? This was insane. I couldn't actually go through with this. The doors opened directly into a penthouse office that took my breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Modern furniture that probably cost more than my car. Art on the walls that looked like it belonged in museums. And standing with his back to me, looking out those massive windows, was Zander Vaughn. Even from behind, he was imposing. Tall, easily 6'3", with broad shoulders filling out a perfectly tailored black suit. Dark hair swept back from his face. An aura of power that made my wolf sit up and take notice. "Miss Hartley." He didn't turn around. "You're 2 minutes early. I appreciate punctuality. Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Vaughn. You signed the contract." Still not turning. "That indicates interest, but interest isn't commitment. This interview will determine if you're suitable for the position." "I understand." "Do you?" Finally he turned, and the world stopped. Zander Vaughn was beautiful in the way dangerous things are beautiful. Sharp cheekbones, a strong jaw, eyes the color of steel, cold, assessing, missing nothing. But it wasn't his looks that stole my breath. It was the bond that slammed into place the moment our eyes met. Golden light exploded behind my vision. A tether snapped into existence, connecting us with a force that nearly brought me to my knees. My wolf surged forward, desperate, needy, screaming mate with a certainty that shook me to my core. No, this couldn't be happening. From the way Xander's eyes flashed gold, from the way his hands clenched at his sides, from the sharp inhale that told me he'd caught my scent. He felt it too. We stood frozen, staring at each other across his office, as the mate bond hummed between us. "Well," he said finally, his voice rough, "this complicates things." "You feel it?" I whispered. "Hard not to." His jaw clenched. "You're my mate." I didn't know. Neither did I. He moved to his desk, putting physical distance between us. "Sit down, Miss Hartley. We need to discuss this development." I sat, my legs too shaky to hold me. "The contract you signed," he began, his tone businesslike despite the gold still flickering in his eyes, "was designed for a simple arrangement. You provide companionship, I provide compensation. No emotions, no complications. The mate bond is definitely a complication. The understatement of the century." He leaned back in his chair, studying me with those intense eyes. "Here's what we're going to do. The contract stands. You'll fulfill your duties as outlined. But we ignore the mate bond." I stared. "Ignore it? Pretend it doesn't exist. You're here as my contract lover, not my fated mate. We keep things professional, transactional, exactly as agreed. You can't just ignore a mate bond. I can, and I will." His voice was steel. "I don't do mates, Miss Hartley. I don't do love or romance, or any of the messy emotional entanglements that come with fated bonds. What I do is business, and our arrangement is business. Even though the moon goddess made a mistake." He stood, dismissing the topic. "Now, let's discuss the practical aspects of our arrangement. You'll move into my penthouse today. Amanda will handle the logistics. Your duties begin immediately." "Wait, today?" "The contract is effective upon signing. You signed yesterday." His expression was unreadable. "Do you have any belongings that need to be collected?" Yes, my things are at my apartment." "Amanda will send a team to pack and move them. Give her the address." He pulled out his phone, typing something. "You'll have your own bedroom in the penthouse, your own bathroom, your own space when you're not required to be with me." "Required to be with you?" "Social events, business dinners, the occasional overnight trip for company functions." His eyes met mine, cold and businesslike. "And yes, Miss Hartley, the intimate aspects outlined in the contract still apply. Mate bond or not, you agreed to provide companionship of all types." Heat flooded my face. "I understand. Do you?" He moved around the desk, stopping close enough that I could smell him. Sandalwood and smoke, and something wild that made my wolf whimper. "Because I need to be very clear about something. What we are to each other biologically doesn't change our arrangement. You're here because you need money. I'm here because I need a companion. That's all this is. You really think you can ignore the bond?" "I've ignored far more difficult things." His expression was granite. "Welcome to your new life, Miss Hartley. Try not to make it more complicated than it needs to be." But as he walked away, I saw his hands shake slightly, felt the bond between us pulse with frustrated need. And I knew, no matter what he said, no matter how much he tried to deny it, this was already far more complicated than either of us had bargained for. Chapter 2. The arrangement. The penthouse was obscene. 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, a kitchen bigger than my entire apartment, views that made me dizzy, furniture that looked like it belonged in magazines. "Your room." Amanda opened a door to reveal a space larger than my childhood home. "Mr. Vaughn's room is at the end of the hall. The other bedrooms are for guests, though he rarely entertains here." "This is too much. This is what's in the contract. You live here for the duration of your arrangement." She handed me a key card. "This accesses the private elevator and the penthouse. Don't lose it." Does Mr. Vaughn live here alone?" "He has a housekeeper who comes 3 times a week, a chef for dinner parties. Otherwise, yes, it's just him." Amanda's expression was professionally neutral. "And now you." After she left, I explored my new room. A massive bed with silk sheets, a walk-in closet already stocked with designer clothes in my size, a bathroom with a tub big enough for 3 people. This was my life now, for 1 year, with my fated mate who was determined to pretend I wasn't his mate. That night, Zander came home late. I was in the living room trying to read when I heard the elevator doors open, heard his footsteps, caught his scent, that intoxicating combination that made my wolf purr. "You're still up," he said, loosening his tie. I wasn't sure. That is, I didn't know if you'd want... I trailed off, feeling stupid. If I'd want you waiting for me? Like a proper mistress? His smile was sharp. Thoughtful, but unnecessary. Your duties don't include pretending to care about my schedule. I was just reading in the common area where you knew I'd see you. He poured himself a drink. Establishing your presence. Smart. I wasn't trying to... Relax, Miss Hartley. I'm not criticizing. He sat across from me, studying me with those intense eyes. You're nervous. Understandable. This is an unusual arrangement even without the mate bond complication. How can you be so calm about it? About what? The bond? He sipped his drink. Because I've spent 34 years building walls around my emotions. A biological imperative isn't going to tear them down. Is that what I am to you? A biological imperative? You're a woman I've contracted to provide companionship. The mate bond is irrelevant. You keep saying that, because it's true. He set down his glass. Let me be very clear about something, Miss Hartley. I don't believe in fated mates. I've seen too many wolves use the mate bond as an excuse for irrational behavior, for giving up their autonomy, for losing themselves in another person. That's not what the bond is, isn't it? My parents were fated mates. They were so consumed with each other they neglected everything else, including their pack, their responsibilities, and eventually, their son. His expression was cold. When my mother died, my father followed within a week. Couldn't live without her. Left me orphaned at 15 because he was too weak to survive without his mate. I'm sorry. I don't want your pity. I want your understanding. He leaned forward. I will never be that weak. I will never give another person that much power over me. Mate bond or not, you're here for business. Remember that. And if the bond gets stronger, if we can't ignore it, then we'll deal with it professionally, set boundaries, maintain distance. His eyes held mine. I'm very good at compartmentalizing, Miss Hartley. You should learn to be as well. Over the next week, I learned the rules of being Zander Vaughn's contract lover. I accompanied him to 3 business dinners, dressed in designer gowns he'd had delivered to my room. Smiled and made small talk with his associates while he negotiated deals worth millions. I learned to read his moods, when he wanted conversation, when he wanted silence, when he wanted me to disappear. I learned that he worked 18-hour days and slept maybe 4 hours a night. I learned that despite his cold exterior, he was generous with his staff and fair in his business dealings. And I learned that ignoring the mate bond was absolutely impossible. Every time we were in the same room, I felt it. The pull, the need, the certainty that we belonged together. Every accidental touch sent electricity through me. Every breath of his scent made my wolf desperate. And from the way his eyes sometimes flashed gold when he looked at me, from the way his hands clenched when I walked past, I knew he felt it too. 2 weeks into our arrangement, he took me to a charity gala. I wore red, a gown that clung in all the right places. My hair was styled in elegant waves. I looked like I belonged on a billionaire's arm. You clean up well, Zander said when I emerged from my room. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank the stylist I hired. But his eyes lingered on me in a way that had nothing to do with professional appreciation. The gala was at a 5-star hotel. Hundreds of the city's elite gathered to raise money for some cause I immediately forgot. Zander kept me close, his hand possessive on my lower back as he introduced me to various business associates. This is Thea, he'd say. Nothing more. No explanation of who I was or why I was there. But everyone knew. I could see it in their knowing smiles, their speculative looks, the billionaire's latest companion, his newest acquisition. It should have bothered me more than it did. You're handling this well, Zander murmured during a rare moment alone. Handling what? Being on display. Being objectified. Most women would find it degrading. Most women aren't getting paid $500,000 for the privilege. His smile was genuine this time. Practical. I like that about you. Is that what drew you to mate with me? My practicality? The smile faded. I didn't choose to mate with you. The moon goddess made that decision. I'm simply choosing how to respond to it. By ignoring it. By managing it professionally. There's a difference. His hand slid up my back, pulling me closer as we swayed to the music. We can acknowledge the bond exists while refusing to let it control us. But we were dancing too close. His scent was overwhelming. The bond was singing between us, desperate for more contact. This doesn't feel very controlled, I whispered. It's an act, for appearances. But his eyes were gold again. Is it? He didn't answer. Just held me tighter as we moved across the dance floor. That night, back at the penthouse, he walked me to my door. You did well tonight, he said. Very convincing. I wasn't acting. Neither was I. He leaned against my doorframe, close enough to touch. That's the problem. Zander, go to sleep, Thea. Tomorrow we have a trip to Seattle for a business conference. We leave at 6 a.m. Another event where I pretend to be your devoted companion? Another event where you are my devoted companion. Contract and all. His hand reached out, almost touching my face before he pulled back. Good night. I watched him walk away, the bond screaming at me to follow, to close the distance, to claim what was mine. But I was just the contract lover, and he'd made it very clear that was all I'd ever be. Chapter 3. The Breaking Point. Seattle was supposed to be simple. 3-day business conference, networking events, formal dinners, me playing the role of devoted companion while Zander closed deals and built his empire. What it actually became was a test of exactly how long we could deny the mate bond. Spoiler, not very long. We shared a suite, 2 bedrooms connected by a living area. Professional, appropriate. Except the bond didn't care about appropriate. Every moment we were in the suite together, the pull intensified. I'd catch him watching me with gold in his eyes, feel the hunger radiating off him in waves, and I was no better. I found excuses to be near him, to brush past him, to breathe in his scent. It was torture. On the second night, there was a gala. I wore gold, a dress that shimmered with every movement. Zander wore his signature black, looking devastating as always. We should establish some ground rules, he said in the car. What kind of rules? Physical contact. For appearances, I'll need to touch you. Hand on your back, arm around your waist, that sort of thing. But it goes no further. Understood? Crystal clear. But the moment we walked into the ballroom and he placed his hand on my lower back, I knew the rules were pointless. His touch sent fire through me, made my wolf whimper with need, made every nerve ending scream for more. And from the way his hand tightened, from the sharp inhale I heard, he felt it too. Zander Vaughn! A woman approached, elegant and clearly wealthy. I haven't seen you in ages. Celeste. His smile was professional. How are you? Fabulous. And who's this? Her eyes raked over me, calculating. Thea Hartley. My companion. Companion. Celeste's smile was sharp. How modern of you. After she left, I turned to Zander. Ex-girlfriend? Ex-potential business merger. She wanted to combine our packs through a mating contract. I declined. You don't believe in mating contracts? I didn't, until I created one with you. His eyes held mine. Ironic, isn't it? We danced. We mingled. We played our roles perfectly, but the whole time, the bond was burning between us, getting stronger, more insistent, more impossible to ignore. By the time we returned to our suite, we were both barely holding on. I need a drink, Zander said, heading straight for the bar. Pour me one too. He handed me a glass, our fingers brushing. The contact was electric. This isn't working, I said. What isn't? Ignoring the bond, pretending we're just business associates. Acting like we don't feel this, I gestured between us. It's getting worse, not better. It'll fade. Mate bonds that aren't acknowledged eventually weaken. That's a lie, and you know it. I set down my glass. You can feel it as strongly as I can. Every hour we're together, it gets more intense, more desperate, more— Stop! His voice was rough. We agreed. You agreed. I signed a contract. They're not the same thing. I moved closer. What are you so afraid of, Zander? Why are you so determined to fight this? I told you, I won't be weak like my father. Loving someone isn't weakness. It is when it destroys you. He slammed his glass down. Do you know what it was like? Watching my father wither away because he couldn't live without his mate. Watching him choose death over responsibility? That wasn't about the mate bond. That was about grief. It was about giving someone else power over your entire existence. About being so consumed by another person that you lose yourself completely. His eyes were blazing gold now. I won't do that. I won't let anyone, even my fated mate, have that kind of control over me. I don't want control over you. I stopped, not sure how to finish. What? What do you want, Thea? I want you to stop fighting this. Stop pretending we're just business associates when we both know. He kissed me. One moment we were arguing. The next, his mouth was on mine, hungry and desperate, the bond exploding into golden light between us. I kissed him back with equal desperation, my hands fisting in his hair, pulling him closer. He backed me against the wall, his body pressed against mine, and I'd never felt anything so perfect in my life. This is a mistake, he growled against my lips. I don't care. The contract includes intimate companionship. We're just fulfilling the terms. His laugh was rough. Is that what we're calling this? Call it whatever you want. Just don't stop. He didn't stop. We made it to his bedroom, barely. Clothes were shed. Boundaries were shattered. And when we finally came together, the bond snapped fully into place with a force that stole my breath. Afterward, we lay tangled together, both breathing hard. That shouldn't have happened, Zander said. But it did. It can't happen again. You're a terrible liar. He pulled me closer, despite his words. This changes nothing. We still have a contract. This is still a business arrangement. Right. Business. That's definitely what that felt like. Thea, it's fine. I understand. I turned to face him. You felt something. You gave in for one moment. But tomorrow you'll go back to being the cold billionaire who doesn't believe in mates. I get it. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're terrified of feeling something real. So you hide behind contracts and business arrangements and convince yourself that makes you strong. I sat up. But you know what? Real strength is being brave enough to love someone, to trust them, to let them in. And look where that got my father. Your father's story doesn't have to be yours. I found my clothes, started dressing. But I can't make you see that. Only you can decide if you're brave enough to choose love over fear. I left him there, alone in his bed, the bond aching between us. And I knew, despite what had just happened, despite the connection we'd just shared, nothing had changed. He was still running from the bond. And I was still the contract lover who wanted to be so much more. Chapter 4. The competition. The next morning everything was back to professional. Zander barely looked at me at breakfast, kept physical distance during the conference sessions, acted like nothing had happened, like we hadn't shattered every boundary he'd set, like the mate bond wasn't screaming between us. I should have been angry, should have called him out on his emotional cowardice. Instead, I matched his energy. Cool, professional, perfectly controlled. Two could play this game. The afternoon session featured a panel on corporate mergers. Zander was one of the speakers, brilliant and commanding as he discussed integration strategies. I sat in the audience, watching him command the room, and felt pride swell in my chest. He was magnificent. Impressive, isn't he? I turned to find a woman had taken the seat beside me. She was beautiful, elegant, poised, with the bearing of someone born to wealth and power. He is, I agreed carefully. I'm Victoria Ashford, Ashford Industries. She extended a perfectly manicured hand. And you're Zander's new companion, yes? Thea Hartley. Lovely to meet you. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I'm sure Zander's explained our history. Should he have? We were engaged, you see, 5 years ago. A very suitable match. Both powerful alphas, compatible packs, excellent business synergies. She gestured to the stage where Zander was speaking. But he got cold feet. Called it off a month before the wedding. I'm sorry to hear that. Don't be. I'm well past it. But the way she looked at Zander suggested otherwise. Though I must admit, I'm curious about you. What's so special about a contract lover that he'd keep you around for? How long has it been? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Remarkable. He usually tires of his companions after a few days. Her eyes were calculating. You must be quite talented at your duties. The insult was clear. I do my best, I said evenly. I'm sure. Though I should warn you, Zander doesn't do permanent. He doesn't do love. Whatever you're hoping for beyond your contract, you won't get it. I'm not hoping for anything beyond what we agreed to. Good. Because he's already promised, you know. To me. She smiled at my confusion. Oh, didn't he tell you? Our families have a standing arrangement. When he's ready to settle down, to produce an heir for his pack, I'll be the one he chooses. It's all very practical, very suitable. Then why are you telling me this? Professional courtesy, woman to woman. She stood, smoothing her dress. Enjoy your year, Miss Hartley, but don't delude yourself into thinking you mean anything beyond the paycheck. After she left, I sat there, her words echoing in my mind. He's already promised. When he's ready to settle down, I'll be the one he chooses. I knew I shouldn't care. This was a business arrangement. I was the contract lover, nothing more. But the mate bond didn't care about contracts or logic, and the thought of Zander with Victoria made my wolf snarl with possessive rage. That evening, back at our suite, I confronted him. Victoria Ashford says you two are engaged. He looked up from his laptop. We're not engaged. But you were, and apparently there's a standing arrangement. A suggestion from our families, not a promise. He closed his laptop. What did Victoria say to you? That I'm temporary, that when you're ready for a real mate, she'll be the one you choose. I crossed my arms. Is that true? Victoria is a suitable match from a business perspective, but I have no intention of mating with her. Even though it would be practical? Isn't that what you value? Practicality over emotion? Are you jealous, Thea? I'm asking a question. Do you plan to marry Victoria Ashford? He stood, moving toward me with that predatory grace. And if I did, our contract has an end date. After that, I'm free to choose whatever mate I want. So, I'm just keeping the bed warm until you decide to settle down with someone suitable? You knew what this was when you signed. He stopped close enough that I could smell him, that intoxicating scent that made me dizzy. Did you think one night together would change our arrangement? I thought it might change you, make you see that what we have is phenomenal sex with a biological imperative behind it, nothing more. The words hurt more than they should have. You're right, I said coldly. I forgot my place. Just the hired help. Silly of me to think I meant anything beyond a transaction. Thea. Don't. You've made your position very clear. I grabbed my keycard. I'm going for a walk. Don't wait up. I made it to the elevator before the tears came. I'd known what I was signing up for, had understood that this was business, not romance. But somewhere along the way, between the galas and the late-night conversations, and the way he sometimes looked at me like I was precious, I'd started to hope. Hope that he'd let me in, that he'd choose the bond over his fear, that I'd be more than just a contract to him. But Victoria's words had made one thing clear. I was temporary, replaceable, just another business transaction in Zander Vaughn's carefully controlled life. And when the year was up, he'd move on to someone suitable. Someone like Victoria. Someone who wasn't his fated mate. Chapter 5. The Revelation. I didn't return to the suite that night. Instead, I wandered Seattle's streets, trying to process the mess I'd gotten myself into. I'd agreed to be a contract lover. That was all. A year of companionship in exchange for money I desperately needed. But I'd fallen in love with my employer, and he was determined to pretend I meant nothing. My phone buzzed. Zander, of course. "Where are you?" I ignored it. It buzzed again. "Thea, it's not safe for you to be out alone. Come back." "I'm fine. Need space. We need to talk." "Nothing to talk about. You were very clear about our arrangement." My phone actually rang this time. I answered. "Thea." His voice was rough. "Where are you?" "Does it matter? I'm not on the clock for companion duties until tomorrow's breakfast event. This isn't about the contract. Everything between us is about the contract. You said so yourself." I kept walking. "I'm just being practical, like you taught me." "Are you crying?" "No." I was absolutely crying. "You're lying. I can hear it in your voice." A pause. "Please come back. We can discuss this like adults." "There's nothing to discuss. You want a business arrangement." I signed up for a business arrangement. Victoria just reminded me not to expect anything more. Victoria is irrelevant. Is she? Because she seemed pretty confident that she's your future. She's wrong. His voice dropped. "Thea, please, come back." "I can't." He stopped. "Can't what?" "I can't feel you through the bond. You're too far away. It's uncomfortable." So he could admit the bond existed when it caused him discomfort. How convenient. "I'll be back before morning," I said. "Don't worry, I won't embarrass you at tomorrow's event." I hung up. I finally returned to the suite at 3 a.m., exhausted and emotionally wrung out. Zander was waiting in the living room, still dressed, clearly having not slept. "You're back," he said, standing immediately. "As promised, I honor my contracts. Thea, I'm tired. We have an event in 5 hours. I'm going to sleep." "We need to talk about what Victoria said." "No, we really don't." I moved past him toward my room. "She just reminded me of what I already knew. This is temporary. You're the client. I'm the service provider. Let's keep it professional." "Is that really what you want?" I turned to face him. "What I want is irrelevant. You made that clear from day one. The mate bond doesn't matter. My feelings don't matter. Only the contract matters. That's not, isn't it? You've spent 3 weeks telling me that our bond is just biology, that what we feel is just physical, that I'm here for business, nothing more." Tears threatened again. "So, that's what I'll be, your professional companion. Nothing more, nothing less. And last night was a mistake. You said so yourself. Won't happen again." His jaw clenched. "What if I want it to happen again?" "Then you'll have to decide if you're brave enough to actually admit you feel something, to stop hiding behind contracts and fear." I opened my bedroom door. "Until then, we're just business associates, like you wanted." I closed the door before he could respond. The next morning, I was perfectly professional, attended the breakfast event, smiled at his associates, played the devoted companion without a hint of the turmoil underneath, and Zander matched my energy, cool, controlled, giving nothing away. We flew home that afternoon in tense silence. Back at the penthouse, I went straight to my room. I'd been there an hour when there was a knock. "Come in," Zander entered, looking more uncertain than I'd ever seen him. "I talked to Victoria," he said without preamble. "Oh?" "Told her there's no standing arrangement, no future for us, that she needed to stop spreading rumors about our relationship." "Very practical of you. Thea, was there something else?" I kept my voice neutral. "If not, I have some reading to catch up on." "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "This. The Ice Queen routine, the emotional distance." He moved closer. "I thought you wanted to acknowledge the bond. Be more than just business." "I did, past tense." I set down my book. "But you made it very clear that's not what you want." so I'm respecting your boundaries. Isn't that what professional companions do? This is punishment. This is self-preservation. I stood. I can't keep hoping you'll change your mind, Zander. Can't keep wanting something you're not willing to give. So I'm doing what you asked, keeping things professional, honoring the contract, nothing more. And if I want more, then you know where to find me. But I'm done begging for scraps of affection from a man terrified of his own feelings. I moved to the door, opening it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'd like some privacy. He didn't move for a long moment, just stared at me like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Finally, "You're right. I am terrified." The admission caught me off guard. "Of the bond?" I asked. "Of losing control, of becoming my father, so consumed by love that I lose myself completely." His voice was raw. "I've spent my whole adult life building walls, being strong, being independent. And then you walk into my life, and every wall I've built starts crumbling. Zander, I don't know how to do this, Thea. Don't know how to be someone's mate without losing myself in the process. Don't know how to love without becoming weak. Love isn't weakness. It destroyed my father. Your father chose grief over life. That's not love. That's tragedy." I moved closer. "Real love makes you stronger, makes you better, gives you something to fight for instead of something to fear. And you think you can give me that? I think we could give each other that, if you're brave enough to try." He stared at me for a long moment, then quietly, "I don't know if I am." "Then I guess we continue as we are. Professional, transactional, safe. Is that what you want?" "What I want is you. All of you. Not the cold billionaire hiding behind contracts, but the man underneath. The one who's terrified and brave and broken and perfect." I touched his face. "But I won't beg for it anymore. Either you choose this, choose us, or you don't. But I'm done waiting. And if I'm not ready, then we honor the contract. Complete the year. And when it's over, I walk away with my money and you find your suitable mate." My voice broke slightly. "And we both pretend the mate bond doesn't exist. That would kill me. Then choose differently." I stepped back. "It's your call, Zander, but I need you to actually make it. No more halfway. No more pretending we're just business when we both know we're so much more." He left without another word, and I collapsed on my bed, knowing I'd just gambled everything. Either he'd choose me, really choose me, or I'd spend the next 9 months watching my fated mate prepare to marry someone else. Chapter 6. The choice for 3 days, Zander was absent. Away on business, Amanda said. Some emergency that required his immediate attention. I knew it was a lie. He was avoiding me, avoiding the choice I'd forced him to make. I threw myself into the Omega advocacy work I'd started. Used Zander's resources, with Amanda's approval, to establish programs for unmated Omegas seeking independence. If nothing else, this year would mean something beyond my own heartbreak. On the 4th day, Zander returned. I was in the living room, reviewing grant proposals, when I heard the elevator. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept. His usually perfect appearance was disheveled, shirt untucked, tie loose, hair a mess. "You look awful," I said. "I feel worse." He set down his briefcase. "We need to talk." "About?" "Everything. Us. The bond. The contract." He ran a hand through his hair. "The fact that I've been an absolute coward." That got my attention. "Go on." "I ran. After our conversation, I ran because I was terrified of what you were asking me to do. Terrified of choosing the bond and becoming my father. Terrified of losing myself in you. And now? Now I realize I was more terrified of the wrong thing." He moved closer. "I spent 3 days trying to convince myself I could do this, could finish out the contract, pay you, let you go, find someone suitable, live without my mate. And I can't. The thought of you leaving, of spending my life with anyone else, of denying what we are, it's worse than any fear I have about the bond. His eyes held mine. I don't want a contract with you anymore, Thea. I don't want a business arrangement. My heart stopped. What do you want? Everything. You, us, the bond, the terrifying, complicated, messy, beautiful reality of being mated to you. He closed the distance between us. I want to wake up beside you, fall asleep holding you, introduce you as my mate, not my companion. Build a life with you that's about love, not contracts. Zander, I know I don't deserve it. I know I've been cold and distant and cruel, but I'm asking anyway. Give me a chance. Let me prove I can be the mate you deserve, that I can choose love over fear. Tears blurred my vision. You're serious? Completely, terrifyingly, irrevocably serious. His hand cupped my face. I love you, Thea. I've loved you since the moment you walked into my office and turned my carefully controlled life upside down. And I'm done pretending otherwise. The contract, null and void. You'll get your full payment. You've more than earned it. But from now on, you're not my contract lover. You're my mate, my partner, my equal. What about Victoria? The suitable matches? Your fear of becoming your father? Victoria is someone from my past who wanted a business arrangement. You're my future, messy and complicated and worth every risk. He pulled me closer. And as for my father, I finally understand. He didn't die because he was weak. He died because he loved my mother so much that life without her wasn't worth living. That's not weakness. That's the kind of love I want with you. Even if it scares you? Especially because it scares me. Because you're worth being brave for. I kissed him then, pouring everything I felt into it. The love, the hope, the desperate relief. When we parted, both breathless, he rested his forehead against mine. Mark me, he whispered. Make this real. Make me yours. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. I bit down on his throat, my mark sinking deep, the bond blazing bright between us. He marked me in return, and when his teeth left my skin, I felt the bond complete. We were truly mated now. Forever. I need to tell you something, I said softly. What? I love you too. Have since probably the second week. Every time I tried to stay professional, to honor the contract, to keep my distance, I was falling more in love with you. His smile was brilliant. My brave, beautiful mate, loving me even when I was too stubborn to accept it. So what happens now? With the contract? I tear it up, pay you the full amount anyway, and we start over, not as business associates, but as mates. His eyes held mine. Unless you'd rather return home, I'd understand if this is home, your home. I touched his face. Wherever you are, that's where I belong. Then stay. Not because of money or contracts or obligations. Stay because you want to. Because you choose this life with me. I choose you. I choose us. I choose this bond and everything that comes with it. He kissed me again, deep and claiming, and I felt the last of his walls crumble. This was what I'd needed. Not a contract or money or security. Just him. Choosing me. Choosing us. Choosing love over fear. Your mother's medical bills, he said suddenly. Your sister's education. The house. All of it is taken care of. Not as payment, as what a mate does for his mate's family. Zander, you don't have to. I want to. Your family is my family now. Their struggles are our struggles. We face them together. Tears spilled over. Thank you. Thank you for being brave enough to sign that contract. Brave enough to walk into my life. Brave enough to love me when I was too afraid to love you back. We stood there, holding each other, the bond humming perfectly between us. And I realized the contract that was supposed to be simple had become the most complicated, beautiful thing in my life, because it had brought me my mate. Chapter 7, The Real Beginning. The next morning, Zander woke me with coffee and a smile. Good morning, mate. I could get used to that. Good morning. I have something for you. He pulled out an envelope. If that's the contract payment, it's not. He handed it to me. Open it. Inside was a deed to a building in the city's downtown. What is this? The headquarters for your Omega Advocacy Foundation. I had my lawyers draw up the paperwork. It's yours, the building, the funding, everything you need to make your vision a reality. Zander, this is too much. It's not enough. You've been using my resources to help Omegas find independence, education, better lives. Now you have your own resources to do it properly. His eyes were warm. I believe in what you're doing, Thea. Let me support it. Support you. I kissed him, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Say you'll let me be your partner in this, that we'll build something meaningful together. Yes. Absolutely yes. Over the next few weeks, we fell into a new rhythm. No more pretending. No more contracts. Just us, building a life together. He still worked insane hours, but now he came home to me. To our bed. To a mate who understood his drive and supported his ambitions. And I built my foundation. Hiring staff, establishing programs, reaching out to packs across the country to help Omegas who felt trapped. You're changing lives, Zander said one night, watching me work. We're changing lives. This wouldn't exist without you. This exists because you had the courage to demand better. For yourself and for others. He pulled me into his lap. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of us. Look what we built from a contract that was supposed to be purely transactional. Best business decision I ever made. Hiring a contract lover who turned out to be your mate? Choosing love over fear. Choosing you over control. His arms tightened. Choosing to be brave. A month after we mated, we held a formal ceremony. Both our families attended. My mother, healthy and glowing after her successful treatment. My sister, thriving in college. Zander's extended pack members, initially skeptical, but won over by how happy we were. Even Victoria attended, surprisingly gracious in defeat. You're good for him, she said during the reception. I wanted a merger. You gave him love. I can't compete with that. I never wanted to compete. I know. That's what makes it perfect. She smiled. Be happy, Thea, and keep him humble. God knows he needs it. That night in our room, no longer separated, just ours, Zander pulled me close. Do you ever regret it? He asked. Signing that contract? Getting pulled into my life? Never. Do you regret offering it? I regret how long it took me to see what I had, to choose you properly. His hand found mine, his mark on my neck glowing softly in the moonlight. But I don't regret a single moment since I made that choice. Even the terrifying parts? Especially those. Because being brave enough to love you made me braver in everything else. He kissed me softly. You didn't just become my mate, Thea. You made me better. Made me whole. You did the same for me. Gave me resources to help others. Believed in my vision. Supported my dreams. We're a good team. The best team. As we lay together, perfectly content, I thought about the journey that had led us here. From a desperate woman signing a contract she didn't fully understand, to a man so afraid of love he tried to buy it instead, to two mates who found each other despite every obstacle, to partners building something beautiful. The contract was supposed to last 1 year, but what we'd built together would last forever. Epilogue. 3 years later. Mama, look! I looked up from my desk, still at the Foundation headquarters, now expanded to 3 floors, to see our daughter, Lyra, running toward me. At 2 years old, she was pure energy and mischief, with Zander's dark hair and my green eyes. What is it, sweetheart? Papa says I can help at the big meeting. Zander appeared in the doorway, our daughter perched on his shoulders. The powerful billionaire alpha, completely wrapped around his toddler's finger. I said she could sit with us. There's a difference. It's a board meeting, Zander. She's 2. She's our daughter, future leader of this foundation. She should see how it works. His smile was unrepentant. Besides, she promised to be very quiet. I pie wummist, Lyra agreed enthusiastically. I shook my head, but I was smiling. Fine, but when she inevitably causes chaos, you're handling it. The meeting went surprisingly well. Lyra sat between us, fascinated by the presentations about new programs, expanded outreach, the hundreds of Omegas we'd helped find independence. You've built something incredible, one board member said. In 3 years, you've changed the landscape for Omegas across the country. We've built it together, I corrected, gesturing to Zander. None of this would exist without his support. And none of it would exist without your vision, Zander added. I just provided resources. You provided hope. After the meeting, we walked through the city as a family, Zander carrying Lyra, me holding his free hand, looking like any normal family. Except we weren't normal. We were the billionaire alpha and his mate who'd started as a contract arrangement and become a love story. Do you ever think about it? I asked. The contract that brought us together? All the time. He shifted Lyra to his other shoulder. I think about what a fool I was, trying to buy companionship, thinking I could avoid love through paperwork. And look where it got you. Mated, with a daughter, supporting Omega causes across the country, living the life I never knew I wanted. All because a desperate woman signed a contract and a stubborn alpha fell in love, despite his best efforts not to. No regrets? Only that I wasted 3 weeks being an idiot. But everything after? Wouldn't change a moment. That night, after Lyra was asleep, we stood on our penthouse balcony, the same one where we'd had so many important conversations. I have something for you, Zander said. Please don't tell me you bought me another building. Nothing like that. He pulled out a piece of paper, yellowed with age. What is it? The original contract, the one you signed 3 years ago. He handed it to me. I kept it, a reminder of where we started. I read through the familiar terms, smiling at how clinical it all seemed now. Should we frame it? I asked. I have a better idea. He pulled out a lighter. Zander, we don't need it anymore. Don't need the contract or the terms or the reminder that we started as a transaction. His eyes held mine. I'd rather remember that we became partners, mates, family. Together, we held the contract over the flame, watching it burn. Goodbye to the contract lover, I said softly. Hello to my mate, my love, my everything. He pulled me close. Thank you, Thea, for signing that contract, for being brave enough to demand more, for loving me when I was too afraid to love you back. Thank you for choosing me, for being brave enough to let me in. As the last of the contract burned away, I felt the symbolism deeply. We'd started with paper and terms and business arrangements, but we'd built something so much more beautiful. A love that couldn't be contained in contracts. A partnership that went beyond business. A family that was about choice, not obligation. The billionaire alpha's contract lover had become his Luna Queen, his mate, the mother of his child, his partner in everything. And it was better than any contract could have promised. I love you, I whispered. I love you too, he replied. Beyond contracts, beyond reason, beyond everything. And as we stood there, wrapped in each other's arms with the city lights below and our daughter sleeping safely inside, I knew one truth with absolute certainty. Some contracts are meant to be broken, but the love they lead to, that's meant to last forever. Closing, and there you have it, my beautiful dreamers. The story of Thea and Zander, proof that sometimes the most transactional beginning can lead to the deepest love. Did this story make your heart race? Did you believe that love can break through any contract? Then show me some love. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me your favorite moment, and subscribe to Luna's romance audiobooks so you never miss another tale of impossible love. I want to know, would you have signed that contract? Would you have been brave enough to demand more? Would you have fought for a love that wasn't in the terms? Tell me in the comments. And speaking of fighting for love, our next story is going to absolutely wreck you. It's called Rejected by the Alpha, Claimed by His Brother, and it follows a she-wolf publicly rejected by her fated mate at their claiming ceremony, only to discover that his twin brother has been in love with her for years. She's heartbroken. He's been waiting. And when she finally sees him, really sees him, she'll discover that sometimes the right mate was there all along. Until next time, my dreamers, may your contracts lead to love, your transactions become treasures, and your business arrangements turn into beautiful romances. This is Luna, signing off. Sweet dreams, beautiful souls.